Okay, Fleet of Doom. Fun. And I do like how, we finally have something that truly bridges the Voltron, TV shows together because, yeah, we did, have Lion Force acknowledge that Vehicle Force existed and that Pidge and Chip are brothers, but that just seemed kind of unforced, whereas this being truly original and having the two forces actively fight together, that was nice to truly get them cemented here. And I do like how this did give a sense of finality to the villains in some retrospects, because at the end of Vehicle Force Episode 52, the main bad guy, or at least main bad guy still alive, gets away, so he comes back here and seems to be dealt a slightly better defeat, because I actually don't remember what happened to that character, but presumably his ship got destroyed, or he just fled away again, and then with what Princess Allura encouraged in Hagar to bring out the good in her, and then her turning against Zarkon, well, obviously that doesn't completely seal their fates, but it gives a sense that something has definitively changed, which was something that Lion Force was lacking when it finished. Because even though this is a crossover film, I can't help but feel like this is definitely more Lion Force than Vehicle Force. Oh, that's not to say that they weren't there, because more connections are explored between the two forces, and clearly Vehicle Force helps the Lions in their hour of need, and you see them both together in tons of shots, but it really just felt like things are happening to the Lion Force group again. They ask Vehicle for help, and Vehicle manages to show up. And then also, if you're looking at this cover, keep in mind this is the new DVD release of this movie. There was a prior release that had a totally different color. It's really easy to recognize Lion Force, but I had this DVD for quite a while, and it wasn't until I put it in to the player today that I was able to realize, oh wait, that thing down below isn't just part of Lion Force, that's actually the Vehicle Force. And you notice when they have commercial breaks, they have the Lion Force thing in it, although granted, I have the new release of Vehicle Force, so it could be that they had their own. Voltron will be right back after these short messages. It's possible, and I wouldn't know. Though I definitely prefer it without those little bits that Peter Cullen did. I could have done without that, honestly, right? Okay, what else to mention here? I do like how, this time, Voltron wasn't trying to go after Princess Allura, because that just never really, got anywhere on the original show, although it did seem like he turned a bit of a curve at one point, but of course, the show doesn't get any conclusiveness, but as I might have alluded to in my original review, maybe it doesn't need a conclusion. Maybe it's just, the never-ending fight of good versus evil, And it was also nice to see a acknowledgement that Keith and Allura, it's implied that they do have feelings for each other, because there were a couple moments when I was watching the original 52 episodes of Lion Force, and I was like, that seems to be an abnormal concern on one of their parts. Something going on there? It's not definitive, but it's more definitive than what's been happening prior on Lion Force, so that was decent. Let's see here. What else to mention? I do like how, even though this did feel a little cheesy when they did it right after the forming of the two Voltrons, that Lothar and company actually had a trick up their sleeve where all of their robots could conform into a bigger one, and I'm kind of surprised that they never bothered with that on the original Lion Force, because they easily could have, using the same trick in the book that many times. Right. What else to mention here? No, I think that that's pretty much it, honestly. So it's not a bad addition to um, the Voltron saga, though, as I said, this does feel more like a Lion Force continuation, and it just wraps up a little bit more of what that elusive bad guy at the end of Vehicle Force did. But of course, I've never seen Dire Rugger, so maybe they take care of that bad guy, I wouldn't know. And that blooper reel, which is the only real extra on this thing, it's not so much a blooper reel, it's just more like alternative takes or extended things that didn't make it into the actual thing in some rough drawings, which are definitely nice to look at, but not totally worth the different purchase if you bought the new edition of Vehicle Force. But if you own the original releases of Vehicle Force, if you're lucky enough to have a copy of the original Air Team, you definitely want to pick it up individually, because the only other way to get it is to buy the new edition of Vehicle Force, and you don't want to do that. Or you could be like many other people out there and go, it's nice, but it doesn't totally merit the grabbing it, but if you've got everything else, why would you not get this? Alright, so that takes care of the original Voltron stuff. Time to move on to Voltron the Third Dimension.